Child of Light is a special game, and one that I hope gets a sequel. It's produced by Ubisoft Montreal, using the Rayman engine, giving the animation the feeling that it really is coming from a little kid book. The story starts out with a bang. The Duke's daughter, Aurora, is dead, yet lives on in the Kingdom of Lemuria. From there, Aurora must journey, aided by a blue fire sprite, to try and return home. Along the way, she meets different companions, often with their own reasons for helping Aurora, but always a nice addition to the party. Even though the game seems to follow a somewhat hero's journey at the end of the game, from the beginning, it has its own unique feel. Each companion that Aurora meets along the way isn't at all the traditional hero. Aurora herself is simply a little girl that wants to go home, and doesn't mind fighting a dragon along the way. From this, each character has a truly engaging personality that separates them from a lot of the JRPGs out these days. As for the narration, the story is told from opening to closing in rhyme. Starting out read as if a mother were reading a bedtime story, the narrator from there is only sprinkled throughout the story, and most of it is told through text. But because the story is written in rhyme, I found myself almost spacing out at moments, feeling as if I missed some important details. I was a little sad that the rhyming was so consistent throughout the entire game. First, I'd like to note that the music in this game is gorgeous. I have the soundtrack on my iPod, and I seem to listen to at least one of the songs pretty much every day. The music goes from somber moments to these nice little poetic pieces to these huge over-the-top epic pieces using a full choir for the boss battles. The next thing that makes the game simply amazing is the presentation. It really is as if you're looking at a watercolor painting coming alive. Not only are the images sublime to look at, each part is filled with little animations that bring a true sense of life into the game. From there, I should mention this game, up until the very end, has some great level variety. And I was delighted to find out this is more of a traditional turn-based game with a nice twist. Basically, each character in combat takes about the same amount of time to get ready. At the beginning of the action stage, the game pauses and lets the player kind of decide what the action they want to take, but each action takes a certain amount of time, and this must be planned out, for if the character on either side is struck during the red bar part of the timer, their action is interrupted, sending them back to the beginning of the timeline. This makes for a wonderful, almost offensive and kind of defensive turn-based gameplay, trying to interrupt the enemy before they can act. If done right, you can actually keep them from being able to attack at any time. But if planned poorly, the enemy will do the same to you. This on normal difficulty, on the most, was more of a fun fuck around, but on higher difficulty, getting an interrupt and not getting one as well can make the difference between life and death during a battle. One gripe I had was that during a battle, you were only able to control 2 people at a time. And I really wish I was able to use 3, but swapping in a new member is easy cheesy, and the dead members can be swapped out as well without even reviving them, which is nice. As for the non-battle things, the game works like a quasi-platformer in look, but you actually can fly. So if you're like me and you fail miserably at platformers, don't worry, you can pretty much fly over everything. Not that there aren't world dangers, there are. Many levels are filled with spikes, traps, different kind of mechanics that actually hurt you, but none that were more than exercises in patience rather than precision. I should also mention that each character has its own individual skill tree, though it's kind of simplistic. It also has crafting and weapon modification. Each character can have them added to their weapons, their body, or worn as an accessory. This was an interesting addition to me, because each ruin in a different spot has different attributes. Do I want my character to start further along in the timeline? Or do I want them to have a higher attack power? I have to decide with my limited resources. This game is great, and for what I paid for, $14.99, it is better than great. It lasted me for about 10 hours for my first playthrough, which pretty much I did everything possible. And if you want to go at it again, you can keep all your stats and go at a higher difficulty with the New Game Plus. I give Child of Light 4.5 stars out of 5. I really wish I liked rhyming, but other than that, this game is totally awesome.